What's the worst lie a student ever told to get a teacher in trouble? This happened during my second year teaching. I had this kid. Ethan hated me from day one. That Tuesday started normal. He walked into my classroom already scowling. I handed out sheet music for the recital piece. Ethan crumpled his up immediately and tossed it on the floor. I calmly told him to pick it up. "Make me," he shot back. I walked over and pointed to the paper, explaining he needed it to practice. Ethan kicked it under his desk and declared he wasn't doing my stupid song. I sighed and said he'd need to sit quietly while others practiced. That's when Ethan exploded. He jumped up, knocked over his music stand, and stormed toward the door, yelling that I couldn't make him do anything. I tried calling him back, but he slammed the door so hard the window rattled. 20 minutes later, I got a call from Mr. Johnson. Ethan had shown up in his classroom crying, claiming I'd been mean to him. Mr. Johnson asked what had happened during class. I explained the entire incident. Mr. Johnson said he'd called the principal. Mrs. Simmons wanted to speak with me immediately about Ethan's allegations. In her office, Mrs. Simmons repeated Ethan's claims. He'd told Mr. Johnson I called him worthless, said he'd never amount to anything, threw his music in the trash, and told him he was wasting everyone's time. Mrs. Simmons said she'd investigate further, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. By the next day, rumors were spreading. Other teachers mentioned hearing that I'd screamed at Ethan in front of the class. I found out Ethan had been telling classmates at lunch that I'd physically restrained him, squeezing his arm so hard it hurt. That afternoon, I watched Ethan run to his mom's car with fresh tears. That evening, Mrs. Simmons called me at home. Her voice was tense as she explained that Ethan's mother was coming in the next morning demanding I be fired immediately. She was talking about calling the police and contacting a lawyer. The accusations had escalated again. Now Ethan was claiming I'd attacked him, grabbing and shoving him into his chair when he tried to get help, and threatening to make him fail if he told anyone. I felt my world crashing down. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I arrived at school early, dreading the confrontation ahead. Ethan's mom burst through the front office doors at exactly 8 a.m., her sister right behind her for moral support. She demanded to know where the principal was, declaring she wanted me fired today. In Mrs. Simmons' office, Ethan sat between his mom and aunt, looking appropriately traumatized. Mrs. Simmons gently asked him to tell them exactly what happened. Ethan took a shaky breath, claiming I'd always hated him and had finally snapped yesterday. He said I'd started screaming about how worthless he was, how he was dragging down the whole class. He continued, saying that when he stood up to leave, I'd grabbed his shoulders and shoved him back down, threatening that if he told anyone, I'd make sure he never graduated. His aunt declared it was assault and that they were pressing charges. Mrs. Simmons explained that Ethan had made some very serious allegations about yesterday's music class. I said I understood, but needed them to know that none of what he was claiming actually happened. "Are you calling my son a liar?" Ethan's mom snapped. I carefully replied that there had been a misunderstanding. Ethan jumped in, insisting I was lying and had done everything he said because I hated him for not being good at music. That's when I remembered something. I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. I quietly said I had something that might help clarify what really happened. I set the phone on the desk and looked directly at Mrs. Simmons, explaining that after a false accusation last year, I'd started recording all my classes. Everything that happened yesterday was right there. Ethan's face went completely white. "Play it," his mom said firmly. I pressed play. The recording showed Ethan refusing to practice, me asking him politely to try again, and Ethan storming out when I wouldn't excuse him. The mom grabbed Ethan and ran out. He was transferred next week.